Origin gents, welcome to GX, and this is He's More Implicated Than We Thought by channel Whitezilla. Another Whitezilla video about Trump and Epstein ongoing thing. This is literally today. Yeah, okay. Whitezilla is an opinion-driven channel that comments on this. Why do you have to like give disclaimer? Isn't that like given thing? I believe like are people like going after YouTube channels now or something like that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure like Apple did that very thing recently. Went after a certain channel or something. I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, YouTube's getting more attacked. I guess I don't know. But yeah, this is like latest thing on Trump. I'm gonna guess this is literally from today. Whitezilla is really quick with his, like most of his information. Like, I've said this in the past. I don't know where this thing is going, but the way Trump was like, oh, what are you talking about Epstein now? Like, we're still talking about that? Yeah. As soon as he said that, like, this thing was gonna blow up because people are like, why are you saying it like that? So now all the journalism and all the people are literally digging through things to find anything, right? People are like putting their ears on like what's happening in the government and everything. So let's do this one.
Our president is far more implicated in the Epstein files than we previously thought. This is according to a Wall Street Journal article. The Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. A lot of people are going to tell you, oh, that's old news. We knew he was in the flight logs. We knew he was in these phone records. But that's not what we're talking about. Those were already public. Jeffrey's black book, that was already out there. This is a new review of documents that we're talking about. We're going to go through all of it. And we're going to start with Trump actually being asked directly if he was told by his Attorney General whether he was mentioned in the Epstein files, and he says no.
Did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the files?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing.
So there we have Trump denying being told that his name was in the Epstein files, but a lot of people were wondering, well, then why are you acting so weird with these files?
Are you still talking about
This
Jeffrey
right here.
Epstein?
It's pretty boring stuff that were made up by Obama.
Luckily, we
That shit is what's killing him, I think, at least in this situation. If he didn't be dismissive, and he just like vaguely, yeah, already Epstein thing, we'll look into it, and just be dismissive in that way, not just attack it. We're still talking about Epstein or Obama did this. It's all Democrats. This is much more defensive than you think. Like anyone with like any brain cell would like, wait a minute, why is he acting like this? Not to mention he was amping up things before he got elected. Like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And just like saying like, yeah, we're gonna do everything, burn everything type of mentality. Didn't he see this coming? To me, it feels like he just assumed like Epstein wouldn't put him in the files because why would he do that? He's my friend. And later on he realized, wait a minute, he did put me in the list. Like, damn, okay.
unearthed an interview where Trump actually hints to the fact that he was in fact told that he was in the Epstein files and that it was all fake stuff.
They've been running these files. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me.
Now that file review is going to be separate from what we talked about with the flight logs, the black book, things like that. According to the Wall Street Journal, when the Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. So, if you remember phase one, right? Phase one was a big scandal because Pam Bondi released these files, but it turned out that these files were an incomplete list of mostly already released stuff. So what did she actually release? Well, she released the flight log and she released the contact book. Then what happened? Well, Pam Bondi, super embarrassed, reached out to Kash Patel and said, hey, I need a bunch of new files. This is not enough. Give us more. She went on Fox News, started talking about, oh, I've got this truckload of documents that is separate from the flight log, from the black book, that we're going to review and release to the American public.
Looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? Yeah. So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived.
Will everything else be made public?
It's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know.
So there we clearly...
It's about protecting the victim, but we believe in transparency. American people needs to know. Few months ago, and now they're saying opposite of that. You know what, I'm not gonna lie, before the internet age where like pull up the video Jamie, like whatever the Joe Rogan does that, when that shit didn't exist, even then people were like careful what they say. They weren't point blank lying. They know like I said that like a year ago, I can't say this now. They will not be acting that stupid. Now when there is video of everything where people can just pull up clips. They're playing dumb of just few months ago. Like few months ago I said that, I'm going to say something opposite now. Because who cares? Are they banking on the stuff like I can just say that's a fake? Is that what they're saying? Like people that stupid? That's not fake. Like that was on Fox News. You literally said that now like, oh wait, we need to protect the victims. We can't release the file. But you said something opposite just a few months ago.
See, there were two separate reviews that happened. First, there's the disclosure in phase 1 of kind of the stuff everyone knew. And then Pam Bondi goes, oh, we got a truckload of new documents. We're going to review those and release those. And that's the review that flagged a bunch of times that Donald Trump's name appeared in here. And that's when they changed their story. Why is this a big deal? Previously, the appearance in the flight logs and the Black Book were the only appearances we really had of the president. There was really nothing else related to Trump there. It's also notable because Senator Dick Durbin said that the FBI was explicitly instructed to flag Trump's name if it came up in the files.
Attorney General's pressure on FBI to quickly review and produce more Epstein documents as promised. These officials were told to, quote, flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned.
Right. They had a new review where thousands of FBI agents combed through these things, flagging the president's name anywhere it appeared in this truckload of new documents. And that is what we're talking about here. These are new revelations, new pieces of evidence about our president's possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, what are these files? That's what we all want to know, right?
Okay, I get many people who are defensive about Trump, and people have comments. Take a step back a bit. Step back from the earth. Look at the globe as a whole. When Clinton was president, just a blowjob was enough reason for impeachment. And all this shit is happening with the real meat to it. Forget about impeachment. People don't even want to think about Donald Trump in any bad light. Like, this is insane double standard. I get it, you like Donald Trump. But like, that's not some guy, like you're not a fan of that. Like that's a politician in the end. You wanted him to be in the position so he can do jobs that you want him to do. Great. But like you can't set double standards like that because in the future, a Democrat will come and will just follow the same procedure that you set as a standard, as you set a precedent. Bill Clinton, like I said, was like impeached because of a blowjob. Both were adults. At best, that's like, okay, like cheating on Hillary at best. When you really process it, like, what does that have to do with him being president? But still, he got impeached, right? And this is all like, this is some next level criminal, beyond criminal shit, where Trump might be implicated. And people don't even want to talk about it. Like, oh, this is all fake. Really? Everything, this is fake? Isn't this cope now? Aren't you coping?
Right? Unfortunately, it's being heavily covered up and heavily blocked. Obviously, one answer is the Wall Street Journal's prior reporting on this letter that Trump supposedly, allegedly wrote to Epstein, which talks about a secret that they both share. It's worth noting that the president said he was going to and then did sue the Wall Street Journal over this. He's seeking $10 billion about this.
Damn.
But the most interesting thing about this case is that the Wall Street Journal, its original claim was that this birthday book letter was all in the DOJ's possession earlier, meaning it would have been part of this truckload of new evidence unless it was destroyed. And so one of the best ways to disprove or prove the existence of this thing would just be opening up the Epstein files, which is part of the reason it's so sketchy that they're not doing it. If you're saying that this reporting is false, if you're saying that this birthday book did not exist, then why not just release the files where this birthday letter was supposedly contained?
You can't argue negative like that in court. I think Donald is trying to do like, okay, which evidence you had that you put this news out. Wall Street Journal has to provide evidence. Wall Street can just say, oh, if I'm wrong, then just release the Epstein files. No, that's not how it works. If you didn't have any evidence, why'd you say anything? Right? Maybe I can see a judge saying, you know what, let's clear the air, but they're still going to hold a newspaper if they had no evidence or no paper trail, which I don't think is going to be the case. They're going to have some source here and there from the official government or certain thing that connects to it. So they vaguely said something in the newspaper so they won't get completely caught off guard. They have lawyers. They're not going to fuck that up. This is just stupid. And like, this is like smoke and mirrors from Donald Trump. Like if he say, I'm going to sue them for $10 billion, people are going to think like Donald is probably innocent type of thing. He knows nothing's going to come off this.
In fact, in this story, we actually have breaking news. Epstein's victim's lawyer now says that the estate of Epstein are actually in possession of this birthday book containing Trump's letter and would be willing to turn it over to authorities. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Possession of that birthday book.
The executors of the estate are in possession of that book.
So already, if true, not only is that a kill shot to this lawsuit, it also proves that there's new mentions of our president in the Epstein files, which are now being covered up. Another big part of this cover-up story has been our government literally shutting down early to avoid a vote on the release of the Epstein files. This is because there were a bunch of representatives ready to vote actually in a bipartisan way on the release of the Epstein files. And a lot of Republicans had splintered off from the party line.
This is so fucked up. This pisses me off so much. Okay, Congress is actually working. Senators are actually in agreement with people. And one guy who's like, like leader of the house or something, I'm gonna shut down the house. This is equivalent of like there's an election. If one party is going to win, other party is like, you know what, I'm gonna destroy all the voting houses. How about that? Like what? You're gonna shut down the house? This is so shady as fuck. Like how is this not pissing off people? Like I don't care whatever the result is. Let's talk about Epstein files later. Let's talk about the core thing here. It doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what you believe. You can't fucking shut down the house like that when you think vote is not gonna go your way. That's just too much on the nose. That's in itself another issue that people should be pissed off about.
Of not releasing it, backing the president, Speaker Mike Johnson, because he was fearing this, announced he was cutting short the week's legislative business and sending the House home early for the summer to avoid having to hold votes on releasing the files. I can't think of something more sick than stonewalling the release of files related to a trafficker to try to protect the people implicated in it. I can't think of something more disgusting. Except for the hypocrisy that...
Okay, he's saying that, okay, I want to protect the victim, so I'm not going to let the vote pass. Who the fuck made you the dictator? Congress and senators are elected there, and it's their job to think about things. That is what the vote is. If they think like they want to protect the victims, they won't vote for it. They say no. But that is what democracy is. You don't decide that. You don't pretend to be some kind of like Superman with a cape. Like, oh, I believe that I'm going to protect the victims. I'm going to shut down the democratic process and shut down the fucking house. No, you're being an asshole. That's not how this works. This is literally Congress. They're literally, representatives are there that represent people. This is literally people voting. It's up to them. People voted them as on their behalf. Like this person can represent me just fine, and those people are going to vote in big number, and that vote will, determine if the list should be released or whatever, right? They would think if is this a problem to victim? Is it not? It's their job to think, not you alone. Who the fuck made you the dictator? Like, I'm not going to let the vote pass. What kind of a bullshit answer even is that?
It also represents, because previously, the same guy went on Benny Johnson's show, a conservative commentator, and said he was totally open to releasing the files and would vote on it.
Subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump
Reagan, why
not?
not?
We should put everything out there and let the people decide it.
Right.
Yeah,
we
now
should trust the
Reagan,
American people until it's time to release it and actually vote on it, and then you shut everything down early to avoid it. Now, later, Mike Johnson came out and said he doesn't want to be lectured on transparency by the Democrats who didn't release the files when they were in power. And you see a similar line coming from the White House.
Okay, but now you're in power. How about you fucking release it? Don't bring whataboutism. Now you're in power. Democrats are assholes, let's just say. They're all in the files. Okay, fine. But you're not, right? You release it. Are you saying like the Democrats are criminals, so am I, don't lecture us? Is that what you're saying to the people? Like we're all criminals? Then be open about that. So people know like who to elect next time.
House about this.
Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an suggestion for any Democrat to make.
Now to this, I just have to say, yeah, They're scoring political points now, saying release the files, just like you guys scored political points when you were the party that wasn't in power.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
But the people who actually care...
This is such a shady bullshit, right? Like, oh, this is a game. This is not real life. This is not real. This is a game. We scored political points and got elected, but now we're not going to release it just like Democrats, and Democrats can shut up because they did the same thing. Okay, so how are you any different? How are you any better? You're just saying like so people are like, this is like swamp. Whether it's Republican or Democrat, both are assholes. Is that what you're saying? Then just openly say that. People want this. People are actually like pursuing this. Not just some politicians. You're telling to the people like everybody's in charge is asshole, including us. Is that what your message is? This is such a deflection tactic, is insane.
About this issue, we just want the files out. So you know an easy way you can prevent having the other side score political points by saying, hey, release the files. You can actually do it. Instead, we have a bunch of performative stuff like this from AG Pam Bondi and the president, where right after the reporting on the birthday letter about Trump and Epstein's supposed secret, all of a sudden, like a snap, Pam Bondi comes out and goes, oh, we gotta unseal the grand jury transcripts, despite knowing that...
I think what should happen is like enough, like if shit happens like, like congressmen or like enough people of different arm, like if they're already like enough bipartisan support there to vote, okay, you're gonna shut down the House, go to Supreme Court. Fuck it. Like go through go through law now. Like enough of this shit. People need to know this is lawful issue now. Involve Supreme Court now. Right? Release the files. I don't care. There's three arms of government. Like there's a Congress, presidential, and Supreme Court. If two arms is in like agreement, presidential arm on own cannot dictate shit. Go through Supreme Court now. Convince Supreme Court like this is ridiculous.
There's almost zero chance of that happening. And of course, today we find out that it was denied because they had literally no grounds to do it. It's like not something courts do for a public interest. In fact, the irony of that whole stunt to pretend to be transparent was that the Epstein survivors, which supposedly these people care about so much, were not told, they were not informed that this grand jury information was going to be unsealed. So ironically, despite saying that they want to protect the survivors of Epstein, what they really want to protect are the third parties implicated in all of this, which is why they won't release the Epstein files they could release right now, which is all in their possession.
No. I got that shit. Last time. Like when they say victim, okay, they're not talking about the actual victims. They're not talking about the girls that were like, abused. They're not talking about that. They're talking about other people that were there who might not be engaging in shit like that, but was just there as some business or political reason. Who had nothing to do with all this shady shit, but still were there. And like people just gonna assume that they are also in this and their lives will be ruined. They're not talking about actual victims here. They're talking about people who might be associated. Okay, you take decisions in your life. If you're associated in this, there is a risk that you might gonna get dragged through the mud. That is life, right? That shit happens. If you witness a murder, police is gonna grab you and question you as well. Like, did you witness it? You were part of it, this and that. That is process. That sucks. But to get to the bottom of things, that has to happen, right? And people understand most of them. Like, I understand this shit, right? I'll prove my innocence. I wasn't in this, but I still go through the process. Saying like, oh, third parties might get dragged to the mud. You chose to go with Epstein. And if you were so stupid and don't realize like what Epstein is and what that island is, that's on you then, right? When shit goes down, you can say like, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna, seek justice for all these victims. I'm not gonna capture all these heinous criminals for 0.001% of people that were probably involved there that were innocent. Really? Say that they're innocent, and after that it's up to people, I guess. If people still think they're not innocent, I guess that shit happens, right? Frontier justice of social media, like no one can escape it. It is what it is. What can you do, right? Even in Me Too movement, a lot of people get proven innocent, and people still think they're guilty. Like that's how people are. What you gonna do? But that doesn't mean you're not gonna seek justice and go through law system. What are you even talking about?
thousands of documents that they have. In fact, the attempts to distract from the real issue of the Epstein files not being released, the cover-up that's clearly happening, it's actually been breathtaking. In fact, it compelled Trump to release 230,000 pages of documents on MLK's assassination, which I guess is fine, but like, can you release the conspiracy now? Why are all the conspiracies revealed decades later when we can't hold anyone accountable? But at the time the conspiracies may be happening, all of a sudden it's, oh, well, no, we can't possibly do that. Now, there's another performative thing you should be aware of, and that's the meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell that's supposedly going to happen. The Department of Justice now says they're going to actually talk to Ghislaine directly. Quote, I have communicated with the counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. This is confirmed by Maxwell's attorney, who says, I can confirm we are in discussions with the government and that Ghislaine will always testify truthfully. We are grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case. Why is this deeply concerning? Because the idea had been floated that there would be a public testimony to Congress under oath by Maxwell. But this is not that. This is a private meeting with the same people who have been sweeping this issue under the rug.
This is public matter, right? This has become a public matter. This is such a heinous crime. This is a high-profile case, which, when you think about it, people need to know type of thing. Why private? What is the justification behind that? She's already convicted. She's already behind jail. Like, whatever she's going to say, people have right to hear it. Like, why private? Like, something has to make sense. You can't just do shit because it's in your power. Like, people say, like, oh, you're being an asshole now.
The entire time. And what is Ghislaine really focusing on? What is she actually trying to get? She's trying to get immunity. We already know she's trying to get the president's attention and say, hey, you guys kind of screwed me. You wouldn't want to be seen as, you know, not being a man of your word. We've seen those like vaguely threatening public statements by Maxwell. So what exactly are they going to get out of this? She's totally incentivized to clear everyone from this administration rather than get the truth out. Now, I should say we actually have inside information on this because recently a bunch of world leaders have been meeting with not journalists, but get this, podcasters to talk about the world affairs of the day. Podcaster Tim Dillon talks about his dinner with what turns out to later be J.D. Vance and some other people where they discussed the affairs of Epstein and stuff like that. And he floats the idea of Maxwell testifying.
Ghislaine must speak. She should testify before Congress. A couple of the people at the dinner, again, it was a small dinner, 3 or 4 people. They said that is not on the table at the moment, but it's not impossible. Nobody's super jazzed about it.
So the administration appears to have told Tim Dillon in a private meeting that, yeah, we really don't love the idea of her testifying, but apparently they love the idea of meeting her privately to talk to her behind closed doors where we can't know what is said. Speaking to the only...
Oh, I don't want her to say anything publicly, but we want her to meet privately. Again, can you be more on the nose? Like, you know what? There are stupid action movies out there for really, really simple people who can't understand any context. Very basic story, just an action movie, just like shooting this. Story isn't complex, so people don't have to scratch their head. So people who are drunk or like whatever can just watch that movie. Those plots are more complex than this shit. This is so much on the nose. Like, how would people not see this through?
Person who's ever been punished at all for Epstein's crimes and whose only incentive is to herself get immunity and get off the hook for all of this. So I obviously think this is a terrible idea. I think it's more of the same cover up. Until they release these files, they're finished. And interestingly, Tim Dillon, the guy at this dinner with the administration, actually said as much.
I think if they do not release everything they have, they are done. If they do not release, and I told them that, you need to release everything you have.
Yeah, of course. Doesn't take a political analyst to tell you.
And they're like, all right, Tim. All right, sure, Mr. Podcaster. Thank you for your opinion. Yeah, sure, like they're going to take that seriously.
You need to release the files. But of course, that seems to be the one thing they refuse to do. They'll do anything. They'll release MLK files. They'll probably tell you their aliens exist. Just...
Yeah, they're deflecting like fuck. Oh, let's talk about ML. They're going to do anything so people... forget. And the fucked up part is there are enough people out there with very low IQ, with a very singular focus, who will forget about this. Just enough so it loses traction.
to avoid releasing the Epstein files. And that is the actually most incriminating part of all of this. It has been the reaction, not the files themselves, that has made this look so bad.
Yeah.
The unhinged.
Seriously, if Trump didn't double down like that, Epstein, why are we talking about Epstein? Like, oh, okay, yeah, Epstein, yeah, we're sure, we'll look into it. I talked to Bondi, like, yeah, like, look at it and release it. And then slowly talk about Iran, slowly talk about, like, MLK files. Before people know it, it becomes like this thing that nobody talks about. But no, he had to, Epstein? Fucking, what is is that an ice cream flavor? I don't even know what Epstein is. If you didn't do that shit, people won't be like, wait a minute, why is he acting like this now? It's like, okay, let's whistle and walk away. Cops are here. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not a thief. Why are you talking about? Like, cops are, what the fuck? I didn't even say anything. Okay, come here. This is what happened.
Response to just simple demands for following up on their word, saying they were going to release the Epstein files. Then it's, oh, we looked, we found the president's name a bunch, and now we're not going to show you what's in there. That makes us all assume the worst about what's actually in here. So ultimately, look, I just believe we should get transparency. Obviously, there's a lot we don't know here, but a lot that has also been coming out, and it all paints a much darker picture than we previously knew.
Yup, there you go.
Follow.
All right. See, this is the thing. Like, I don't see anything coming out. Maybe it'll be like throwing under the bus type of things. Enough people will be thrown under the bus that it might come out. But then again, like, take anything you can type of situation, right? Trump still might escape this, but saying like, oh, this was all fake, I was never in it, fabricate shit, and just like throw enough people under the bus, like enough people get, like come out like these are the predators or whatever. But then again, like people will get whatever they can get. At least it's better than nothing. I don't see full transparency ever. That shit is not happening. The level of thing that is happening, like speaker saying, oh, I'm going to shut down the house. President not doing anything. Even like Bondi and like Cass Patel, everybody in agreement, trying not to release the file. Supreme Court is also filled with people that Trump put there. Like, I don't see shit happening there either. So yeah, I don't know. There could be enough, like, I'm pretty sure there's an element, like enough rich people are involved in this. Like, if we put all of them out there, all the rich businesses might go out and like economical structure of the USA might collapse. So we can't do that. I'm sure that kind of conversation also went through the Congress. And they're like, maybe we shouldn't release it type of shit. That's how fucked up this is. I can already see that shit. Alright, well, this was like latest update from Voidzilla. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. I'll see you next time.